of course, you have like a deeper understanding of your problem, but you also need to be able like to see, is this only my problem or is it really scalable?
Welcome to the Swisspreneur Show, a podcast about startup stories and hands-on learnings from experienced entrepreneurs. Here's your host, Sylvan.
Jeremias, a very warm welcome to the Swisspreneur Show. It's a pleasure to have you here today. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.
You are the co-founder and managing director at Bexio. I think you describe yourself as the next generation business software for SMEs in Switzerland, and you are already used by more than 30,000 companies, which is a very big milestone that you achieved there. And today we want to talk about the Bexio story, and we start off with your personal background. You studied at the University of St. Gallen. You did a business administration bachelor's degree. And I just wonder, in what way has this degree actually supported your entrepreneurial career?
First of all, I think I really learned to do a lot of things in parallel. So, because I started our first business, I think it was in the first year at university. And so, and I had other engagement as well. So I really learned how to manage, how to really be overwhelmed by things and survive. I think this was one key learning. What I also liked were all the work, with real cases. We did a lot of case studies. We learned a lot about presentations and pitching. And I think this also helped. And in general, to have just a deep understanding of business. I think these were the most important parts. To be honest, I was investing more time into my company than into studies. So it took me almost 5 years to make the bachelor. And I also then decided not to continue for the master. I was already signed in for the master. But then I canceled it to go all in on our business.
Was that an easy decision for you? Was that like very clear? Or did you also have, maybe with your family internal discussions that said, hey, you actually should get a master's degree? No, it was an easy decision. It just felt right going the entrepreneurial way. I think for my mother, it was important that I finished bachelor. So for me, the bachelor was okay, nice to have. I think for my mother, it was like, okay, so my son has at least a bachelor. So check.
Exactly. Yeah.
Were there any thoughts of not finishing your bachelor's degree?
Of course. I think once a week.
Okay.
No, but I also knew that it could be risky to go the entrepreneurial way. So it just makes sense to have at least a bachelor degree, and it was also fun. But every time I had to decide, okay, do I call this client to make some business, or do I learn for tomorrow's exam? I choose the client. And then later in the evening, when I realized, it's a little bit too late to start studying for your next exam, it was like, come on, do you really need it? And I started doubting. But for me, it was really also the experience to be able to do both in parallel was quite good. Yeah.
You said that you took a bit longer than usual, like almost 5 years. Were there also any courses that you wanted to repeat or that you just didn't take because of that trade-off? Because to a certain degree, that is a real trade-off that you had to make between having a business and also studying at the same time.
So at the University of St. Gallen, there's an assessment year. So there, the curriculum is fixed and you just have to pass the exams. And I failed the first time. And then I just did a smaller amount of credits. And so I didn't have to repeat courses, but I was just studying in a little bit slower way than the usual curriculum.
But that was a flexible way of adapting the workload, basically, which is a smart choice.
Yes, exactly. Because we already had, when I finished my bachelor, we had, I think 15 employees. So it was a business. It was not just me and some friends. So it was quite serious. And then it was clear for me, okay, I have also responsibilities we as a team, we have a big responsibility. So we have to go all in with the business.
And let's talk about that business. I think it was called Eyebrows, a leading web development firm that was then also eventually sold to PwC. Can you talk a bit more about, on paper, it doesn't sound too exciting like an agency, but you did some very specific things there that also led to that exit, which is quite uncommon if you hear the term, agency, that you sell that to PwC. So what did you exactly do? What was the business of Eyebrows?
We were a web development firm and really specialized in custom development. So we did quite funny and interesting project like configuration software for elevators. Or we were the first solution for a big car manufacturer to get rid of the paper catalogs in their showrooms. So every time something really new had to be created, we were a good partner to build the tools for it. And I think it was this also timing was right. So it was the company was started by two friends of mine in 2006. And so between 2006 and maybe 2015, almost all the companies were like, okay, how do I get online somewhere? How can I use this new technology, this Web 2.0, to make business or to facilitate certain processes or to engage with my clients in another way? So all the cost and it also SMEs started to think that way, not only the big corporates. And we were just in the right time at the right spot, and we did good work. And I think this was like one part of Eyebrows, like the project business. The other part was like being the incubator for Bexio. Because we were quite good in acquiring customers, in doing these projects, in building these solutions, but our back office was a nightmare. So really, so it especially in the beginning of the business, we often had the situation we were working all day long, but in the end of the month we had not enough money to pay our salaries. And so this was like the moment when we started to ask ourselves, so what's going wrong here? Right. And we realized, so we got to invoice a bill to a customer, or we just were really bad at time tracking. We were just fascinated about building stuff, but not about managing all the finance stuff. Or sometimes we feel like a little bit embarrassed to send a reminder for an invoice because it was like 9 months overdue and we did not realize it. And this was like the reason why we said, okay, we need like a solution for that. And also our Treuhänder said, hey guys, you need business software. And we looked at the market. Everything there was very expensive, not user-friendly, and also not accessible on every device using a web browser. And we were building this kind of web applications at that time for all these customers. And so we just said, okay, let's build a solution for us and to solve our problem. So we built a very, very easy, very basic web application to manage our business. And this was actually like kind of the starting point for Bexio.
But you just built that for yourself internally.
Right. Yeah,
you had no intention at first.
Yeah, of course, we then also realized could be because we were also looking at the market. Right. I think what you saw also like IPOs, like Salesforce in the US. So software as a service became also from a business perspective, quite an interesting thing. And I think probably every guy being in a time and material business dreams of having a product, especially having a product generating recurring revenue. So of course we also had in mind it could also become a product, but it was really on first hand for us to solve our own problems.
And how did you then transition at a certain point in time? You realized, hey, there's actually a market or a bigger need for that. So how did you transition from that internal tool to actually launching Bexio as a product that other people can also buy and use?
I think the only transition in the beginning was we built a website. Mm-hmm. We created kind of a pricing and packaging. This was the transition. And then we just started how to learn how to bring this solution to the clients. Of course, first it was friends and family and other agencies and also clients of the agency who started using this product, and all the processes were like manual. So if we had a nice shiny website, you could sign up for a free trial, but then an email was generated in the back end. I had to print it out. I went to a developer. He set up the database for the client. He created the credentials for the login. Then I wrote to the free trialer, hey, hello, welcome, and here are your credentials for the login. So everything was manual. And then when he purchased it or signed up for a paid subscription, exactly the same. And okay, then we had an Excel sheet where we entered this guy has bought this subscription, and imagine then doing a bill run when you have 100 clients in this Excel sheet, a huge mess, and you try to send the correct invoice. So, but in the end, we were really focusing on the essentials, and it was more about how to learn to sell and to grow with this kind of solution, because I think the product market fit was there, as we really built it for ourselves, and we were like not an unusual kind of business, so we knew probably there are 100,000 other businesses. They have exactly the same problems.
Is that a point where you would recommend other entrepreneurs to start, that you really focus on your own problems and try to solve them, and then try to look if there are other people that experience the same problems and building a company around that?
Yes, it can help. Of course, you have like a deeper understanding of your problem, but you also need to be able like to see, is this only my problem or is it really scalable? Right. Sometimes I see companies or startups, they try to fix the 100% and not the 80%, and then they realize that their addressable market is not big enough. So I think in general it helps if you have a really, really deep understanding of the problem you want to solve, but it hasn't to be your own problem. It's just easier or more accessible if you really feel the problem as your own problem. But yeah, you can also solve other problems.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obvious that there are other companies that probably do have the same problem, but did you look at any specific numbers to get a grasp for how big the market actually is?
I think in the beginning, not really. So because we were not dreaming of the size of our customer base as it is today, we were just so really in the beginning it was like, okay, let's have just a product business beside of the service business we already had. But then when we started to grow and we learned how to scale, of course the ambition level also grew, and we said, okay, why not going for 10,000 clients, right, or more? And when we then really, at one point we realized, okay, it's not possible to scale this software as a service business within the service agency or the web agency. So we said, okay, we need to separate it, because if we are not separating it, one part will always suffer. And I think it was 2012 when it was like at the tipping point when we saw, okay, we are cracking this nut. So it's really we went like from maybe 3 to 5 customers per month to 30 or 40 new customers per month. And we started to understand why and what is working and what not. And we really felt, okay, now we can scale. We have like also data showing us how to scale. And we started to look for investors to do the spin-off. Because before we were investing like our own money. So what we made with project, we invested in the software as a service unit in Bexio actually. And so this was always high risk because like the margin for errors was very, very small. And if you screwed up a project, you knew, okay, now we do not have money for ads for our software as a service business. It was not called Bexio by then, it was called EasySys, a horrible name. But yeah, as I just said, we called it Easy System because it was only for us. It was a domain on a server, not more. But when we then started to scale, we realized the name has to be changed. Anyway, but I think this was a very important decision to separate these two units, and also then also one reason why we could also do an exit with Eyebrows.
Got it. And once you actually decided to do a spin-off with Bexio from Eyebrows, what did you do with your founding team? Because you are 5 co-founders in total. You still had like 2 companies that you needed to take care of, right?
Yeah, I was like CEO of both companies for this transition phase. Mm-hmm. But internally, we already had this split. So we were 4 partners at Eyebrows, and Stefan and I were more focusing on the product business, EasySys or Bexio, and Jonas and Oli were more focusing on the project business. So this separation was like clear. But of course, when we did the spin-off, we just replicated the shareholder structure of Eyebrows. This is why we had like more co-founders than maybe usual. And also Marcel became a co-founder of Bexio, of the spin-off, as he has been the first developer within Eyebrows, being hired exclusively for their software. Mm-hmm. And this is why we were 5 co-founders in the end, but it was very clear. So I was running the Bexio part, Oli was running the project part or Eyebrows, and we stayed on board at Eyebrows, but this was like 1 meeting every 3 months. So we really could focus on the product business, and the other guys could really focus on the project business. So it had a positive effect on both sides. Of course, the Eyebrows was doing very well as they could like invest their free cash flow in growth of the project business. So this went really well, and on the other hand, we were able to close funding round for Bexio and also to accelerate growth there. So it was a good move. Yeah.
Why did you decide to keep the same shareholder structure? Because you two were basically focusing on the Bexio business, right? You could have also said that you sell your shares at Eyebrows and you create a new company, basically.
Yeah, I think so. There are some also legal questions around that. And in the end, there were also like secondary deals to set the right incentives.
Okay, because that's an important part, right? You don't want to have any shareholders that have shares but are maybe not that operationally involved.
Fair point, yes. Yeah.
And how did then the exit with Eyebrows to PwC happen? I mean, that is also a certain milestone in your entrepreneurial career.
Actually, I wasn't that close. I was member of the board, and I remember we were also like discussing, okay, what's the next step for Eyebrows? We were like, I think 50 employees. Nice SME, good cash flow, margin nice, solid, but we were always asking ourselves, okay, how to get to the really big project. So we're not, so we know, okay, next level is around 100. You need to be around 100 people to really go for the big stuff. And we're like discussing how to get there. We also were talking about acquisitions, acquiring other agencies. As we saw, it was like also kind of a consolidation going on in this market, because in the early 2000s there were like a web agency in every village, and so the whole sector became more professional, and size became more important. And so we were really discussing all these options, and suddenly the management came and said, "Hey, we have like another opportunity." And then it was like, I was just having board meetings where we discussed like the usual M&A stuff, but I wasn't that much into the details or all these strategic discussions.
But basically, that was like the first exit on your CV, right? That was the
first exit, yes.
Was that also, did that have a positive influence on your personal finances too? Because I guess you were still a shareholder of the company.
Yes.
In a significant way?
Depend what significant means, but it gave me the opportunity to also invest in Bexio when it was really needed.
That's absolutely helpful.
Yes.
So let's look back at the Bexio story. I'm also wondering, you named the name change as also a major milestone, basically to shift from EasySys to Bexio. What led you to that conclusion that a name change is required, and how do you actually execute it?
So it was 2015. We had just closed our Series A. So we had quite some cash, and we were really, and we know, okay, now we have to invest in marketing. And I just had the feeling this name isn't that efficient to scale, as I was always, when I was walking by our customer care teams or sales guys, I heard them spelling the name at the phone. You know, it's EASYS, and I said, okay, nobody can, you can't just write it when you hear it. This was one problem. And and the other sad fact is that it was also the year when ISIS became quite popular. And some people then started joking around, it sounds a little bit like a terror group. And for me, then it was also clear, no, and then we're also like technical issues. So it was very hard to get the .com domain and so on. To say, okay, now we have the opportunity to like really reset branding. We are just starting like the next growth phase, and it was also quite cool because it was like we were, I think, about 25, a team of 25, around that, and we created this brand together with this team. And it also like, it was like a second foundation, if you would say. But I really felt it was good also for the whole team to connect and to build a stronger team, because EasySys, it was like the thing of Marcel, Stefan and I. So because we were doing for years, we were trying to figure out, but then we had money, we hired 20 people, and for them it was just new. They just checked in during the last few months, and developing a brand together with the team was also a good thing.
How do you actually do that? Because developing a brand with a 25 people team, I imagine that's not the easiest thing to do in the world.
So it depends how you do it. So it was really, we created a brand room, and all the ideas, drafts, logo drafts were in this room. So we really created like a universe for the next brand we want to create. Then we also hired a freelancer to like guide us through all this process, because you need to make sure you have access to the domains, you can protect your brand, the brand is working in all languages. This was also important for us, and you also need to make sure your brand isn't a nasty word in another language. And so technical, you need to tick the box on certain criterias, and for that we had like a pro guiding us. But in the end, everyone could just have ideas, and then the marketing team checked, okay, is it a valid idea or not? And all the valid ideas were then put into a big spreadsheet where everyone could vote. So, and we did then like a long list, a short list. For the short list, we created logo drafts to really see, okay, how's the word looking? And then again, we did a second and last round of voting, and Bexio was the winner.
So that's a very democratic way of finding a company name and logo.
Yes, so we really did it as a team. Of course, we had some guidance. So we had maybe better names, but then maybe you can't have .com domain, or it's not protectable.
Right. So the Bexio.com domain was still free and available, or did you have?
But
okay.
It was we were able to purchase it at a quite reasonable price.
Okay. Yeah, that's always important. Now, let's also look a bit at the obstacles along the way of building a successful company in Switzerland. One of the first things that also is very, appealing from somebody from the outside looking at Bexio is the way that you are integrated with banks, but also offer like salary payments. In short, like you integrate a lot of very complex materia in your platform. Can you talk a bit more about how you actually successfully pulled that off? Because that's like one of the core strengths that I see as a user myself in Bexio.
Yes, so I think it remains a challenge, and is also still a challenge, especially when we continue to grow. Not only our user base, but also our whole ecosystems, having more third parties using APIs, having more bank connections. This is the complexity behind it, and also scaling the whole platform is definitely something we underestimated in the beginning. Yeah, to be honest. So because we said, the technology is more or less the same as a homepage, and we just need to have more servers. And now we know, and we have a very, very talented team taking care of everything. It's more than that, and we always had like certain points where we just hit kind of a ceiling. Like I remember one story, I think 2 years ago, where it was during our busy season, end of the year and beginning of the year, a lot of companies want to start with their new system. Right. So, and we had massive load. We had a lot of new customers coming in. We had thousands of companies going for free trials every month. And one day just the platform break down because of too much traffic, and we had to fix the whole system while it was running. So this was like one event I really remember.
That's actually a very good sign. Then you're growing so fast that you cannot keep up to a certain degree. So you have incredible growth, but at the same time, of
cool,
course,
but it's not cool for the clients you have, because you are not making money with the free trialers, but you have thousands of customers already trusting you, and they just expect that a cloud solution is up and running 24/7. Sure. And it's absolutely correct. But if it's not, then it's a problem. And you mentioned also payroll and banking. We were probably the first ones offering seamless bank account reconciliation and this kind of automated data exchange to small businesses. And this was quite complex. So the building the first interface took quite a time. We had UBS being very, very innovative and being like the first one to trust us to do that together with us. But it was quite a learning process. And because also if something isn't working, where's the problem? So you also need to learn how to debug together. Because the worst thing for the client is if he calls the bank told him, no, it's not our problem, and he calls us and we say, yeah, you should ask the bank. Then the client is just
thank you
lost.
For nothing.
Exactly. So I think this is also quite a challenge when you have all these connections. How do you make sure to just provide the support the customer needs?
I mean, that's an incredible amount of additional complexity that you add there with the third-party integrations. So what did you do to handle that? Did you over-invest in customer support to really be able to help them no matter where the problem is? Or how do you actually handle that and make sure that your clients are still happy and have everything they need?
So first of all, I think it's really crucial to define the processes together with the partner. So to really make sure when and how is a handover done, how do we make sure to follow up on things. Then we also started to build like specialists within the customer care team who could really focus on one specific module. So we have colleagues who are specialized in payroll or banking. They also work very closely together with the corresponding product owner from the product team, and they try to solve the problems together. So especially banking problems can be complex because you need to check the settings on the bank side and you have the client in between who also can make mistakes, and you have our system who can also make. So it's quite difficult, and there I think the key is really good collaboration between the guys on our side. So this means not only the customer support guy, but also product owner, technical support. They really need to be very client-centric all together. This is always a challenge because if the technician says, no, it's not a technical problem on our side, so he should try then to help to find maybe the problem, even if it's not on his part. So I think this is quite important, and we are still learning how this goes as our ecosystem is growing. But I think having clear rules with the partners and also a cross-functional approach within our organization is key. And good monitoring to see the problems before they be seen by the customers.
That's ideal, but I guess not always possible.
Yes, you're right. So that's ideal. We are not there that we see every problem before it hits the customer. Yeah.
But probably getting one step closer every day, right?
This is how it goes. Yeah, you need to improve every day just a little bit. But after many days, you made a big step.
Absolutely. Yeah. Despite adding more complexity with your growth, what's actually also an important challenge is if you grow in company size. So more employees also add way more complexity to your organization. How did you deal with that?
the key to that is communication and good leadership, and of course hiring the right people, and this is all three things are very complex, because for us it was, or not complex but difficult, because it was like also the first time we scaled to this team size, and so in the beginning you are like a team. You are driven by purpose, you are driven by culture, you don't need any management frameworks, you do not need stuff like all hand meetings and updates on certain things, because no, you eat pizza together for lunch, you go for a drink after work, all together, and everyone is always updated, because you are working like a family. I think this mode worked until 25 employee. Then we had to start finding something to really align all activities. And for me, I really believe that transparency is key. If every employee really knows where are we going, why are we going there, how are we doing in business, he's enabled to take also decisions to bring us there. And so we started very early to have like transparent team meetings where we shared all the figures. We still have also today, once a week, we have an all hands, it's 15 minutes, but we share the most important updates within the whole company. And everyone can just log in, and we share highlights, what's happening. And so I think transparency and communication is very important while you grow. But then, of course, I also had to hire professional leaders, because I was the youngest guy, or one of the younger guys in the company. I always had like a clear vision where to go. I could give purpose to the things we were doing, but I wasn't like the super experienced manager. So I started hiring. Then when we were, I would say about 50 people, we started like also to build the next generation of management. In this phase, also my co-founder decided that they do not want to be part of the management, because they said, no, I'm like losing contact to the product and to the customers, and I do not want just to be in meetings and talking to people all day. I want to code or to do mock-ups of a new product, but I do not want to attend board meetings or so. And so we started like rebuilding the next level of management team. I think this was also quite an important step when I look back, to have really to be surrounded by experienced leaders. So my management team, I think they are all between, I would say, in average 10, 15 years older and more experienced than me, and this helped a lot. Yes, so as maybe a third important thing was also giving a certain structure. We then implemented OKRs as a tool when I think we were 30 or 40 employees. This also helped to align the activities and also to give the transparency needed. So, yeah.
I think that's an incredibly important point. So you just said basically that as your company grows, also the roles of the management and of the founders have to shift and adapt to the new situation, basically.
Absolutely, yes.
You hired senior people. What was their background? Did they build successful startups and scaled them on their own? Or what was the background of these people? And were all of them external people, or did they also find internal people to fill these roles?
I think we have both. So we have like colleagues who started as I don't know, a role in back office and are now leading large teams. So this is, I'm really proud of these people when I see, okay, their career within Bexio is just amazing. But we also had to hire external people, especially for the senior management, so the top management. And we had like a mix of guys coming from the industry, so really large-scale software as a service experience, and others more coming from successful startups. Okay. So I think the mix is quite interesting, and it also adds a lot of value if you have both perspectives. If you have like like my CEO was director marketing at Citrix Cloud division. So this is quite large, and this is one of the best software as a service companies out there, and he just knows what best practice is. And another example, our CFO, they came from a successful other startup, so he really he knew fundraising, he knew how to scale the organization, and I think to combine all these skills was crucial and helped a lot.
And what was then your focus? In what way has your role changed, and what were like the tasks that you did after or during the scale up? What were you focusing on?
I was really focusing on driving the vision, driving the strategy, being the front runner, and of course, fundraising was like probably my most important task during the fundraising phase. And I always was very close to marketing and sales. So in our co-founder team, Stefan was the product guy, Marcel the tech guy, and I the marketing and sales guy. And I was always close to that, and helped building this growth machine. I think this was being like the visionary, the cultural leader within Bexio, being also the face of the company, and but also doing like ordering toilet paper when stock was empty. But I was more focusing on like the communication stuff and less on the coding or tech stuff.
Great. We also like to talk about opponents and supporters along the way of Bexio. So I can imagine that, when you establish a new product, a solution that you originally built for yourself because there was just no good solution out there for you, that people, especially companies of the old way of doing things, the old companies of the ERP systems and so on, that they probably laugh at you and say, yeah, this will never work. I think that also happened with Bexio, right?
Yes. I won't tell names, but the well-established incumbents in our market, and I admire them because some of them really built great companies, but they were like really laughing at us, and we tried to partner up because we say, maybe we could do something together, and this web thing could work, and now they are launching competitor products, and this is like, for us, like the proof that we are doing right, and they might be competitors, but I think the biggest opponent in the market is the status quo. We are really serving a completely underserved market, or really served by tools like Excel. So I think we are not, if in more than half of our new customers, we are not replacing another solution. We are the first professional solution. We are replacing paper, Excel sheets, Word templates. This is still like the usual case. And so, yeah, I do not. I have of course respect for all the competition, and I also always learn from competition. But I think for all the players now battling in this market, I think the big challenge is the status quo.
Is it easier to sell a product where there's no solution yet, or is it easier to actually sell a product where you are taking over an existing solution? I mean, of course, you only know the answer to the first one, but from your perspective, is it easier to sell if you replace like Excel or no software at all? Or do you think it would probably be easier if there's already a solution in place and you can clearly show how you are differentiating and being better than the existing solution?
I don't know. Probably both. Because we are also doing both. So we have, but you have just to do, it's not the same. You have to be aware. So when we started Bexio, I really remember we were like, okay, how do we call this thing? Right. So our first internet domain was like internet-based business software.ch. Because it was like internet-based business software. Right. But no one was looking for this kind of solution. And we were really then trying to find, okay, what is our market actually looking for? Mm-hmm. Because we are like a new product category, and we tried a lot, but in the end we came up with, okay, they are Googling stuff like invoice template, Excel template for invoice. So we need to route that traffic to us and show them, guys, there's an alternative. It's much better. It's easier. It's secure. So use this. And so we really started to work with this market, not knowing that something like this exists. And now, of course, it changed. The market in general knows that this kind of tools exist and they are actively looking for it. But then, like, the process is another one, because then they have exactly in mind what they are looking for, and they are like, it's just no other approach than in your sales and communications, than if you are like selling like a new product category. But I think I can't tell you what is easier. It's just other mechanics.
It's a different approach, basically.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, when thinking back along all the journey that you went through with Bexio, with the resistance in the beginning and the old school people basically laughing at you, but also probably the stress that you went through of scaling a company to the size that you have it right now, including the exit. Was there any time, a moment where you said, that's it, I'm done, I want to quit?
I can't remember, no.
Because many people have that. Why do you think that this was never the case for you?
I'm this type of guy. I say this many times also to my colleagues. If you have a plan B, you will screw up with plan A. And I just had this thing. And it's still my number one priority. Of course, I had no family. Now of course my family is always first, and I learned to enjoy other things in life. But during these high growth times, it was just clear this is the only thing you do. And of course we had like hard pushbacks and big failures, but we never really thought of giving up. But we were near death. Of course, we had near-death experiences like all the startups, but it was never about giving up. No.
I think there's a near-death experience that you mentioned to me in the prep call. It was before Christmas when the salaries were due and cash got tight. Can you talk a bit about how you handled this near-death situation?
We were like trying to raise around, and we had term sheets and everything, and the thing blew up. And
why?
I think that the process was a little bit, maybe. So what I learned is that the process took too long. So we lost momentum, and momentum is everything in fundraising. And we had in the beginning, we had two parties who wanted to invest, and we had this momentum. It was going really well, and we maybe just tried too long to optimize the deal, and then it blew up in, I think, November, December, and we were busy to bridge it. So because we know, okay, we will be at zero beginning of December. And this was quite hard, and I mentioned earlier that the eyebrows exit gave me the opportunity to invest into Bexio exactly at the right time, and this was the right time. All the founders, we were investing. For me, it was probably more or less all the money I had at that time.
That's also a very bold move to take, right? If you invest all your cash.
Yes, I know it was a bit stupid, but I was young, and I knew, okay, this is the opportunity, right. And I really believe it was just a fundraising issue. It was not an issue of our business. Our business was doing well.
Yeah, important point.
So for me, it was no question, and at the same time, I really felt responsible for the team. So for me, it would telling the team, guys, we screwed up fundraising, but actually the business is doing not so bad, but there's no salary. We need to cut jobs, and it's Christmas. Happy New Year. No, never. And so I was also, feeling really responsible for all the guys on board, and never doubt. Of course, now it was a good investment, looking back.
True.
But then also it was really, okay, you go all in, you decided to go all in on this business, then you also need to be consequent.
Absolutely. One thing that also stuck with me is you said that you did many things in parallel during university, with studying, with eyebrows, and just you managed to do multiple things at the same time. At the same time, you also say that it's important to have plan A, that's your only plan, your clear focus. So where do you focus, and where do you actually manage multiple things at the same time? Because that seems a bit contradictory from the outside perspective. But I guess it's not the same level.
Yeah. It's so I'm focusing on running this company, but to do that successfully, you need to be able to do a lot of, especially in my role, I need to be able to do a lot of things in parallel, to switch mindset or topics very, very quickly. And I think this is what I meant. It's not about, I'm not sure if I would be one of these parallel entrepreneurs running a half a dozen of business. Right. I'm not sure if I'm this kind of guy, but I'm able to have to talk about HR, and then 5 minutes later to have a discussion about sales or another issue. Because I'm interested in all these kind of topics. I think this, and I also need to set priorities within all this stuff happening. I think this is what I learned during my studies, to have too much on your plate, but to be able to do the right stuff to at the end survive your studies, right. Get your bachelor, having a business, and being happy. So I think this is an important thing. Yeah.
Got it. Let's also quickly talk about the supporters. You already mentioned that investors played an important role. Can you maybe talk a bit more about how they supported you and also Bexio beyond just the financial investment?
Yes, especially the early stage investors we had, and our first business angels. They were very helpful. So they were also mentoring me, helping me, be very supportive. Of course, they are investors. They want to make money, and they push you. But I learned so much from them. So I'm very grateful. But I also had other like later stage investors. I think I really felt the support when we were like in really hard times, like when we had big troubles, and then sometimes a text message from an investor telling you, you know, I believe in you. You will do it. Can make a difference, and or also investors think, okay, if I will provide the final backup. I do not want to do that, but we will survive this as a team. I think this gives you also kind of a security to really push it, and so it was just great to work with this kind of investors. All the investors we had were really supporting us, and I think talking about supporters, of course there are others like important partners. My team, I think that's the most important, and also my family. They also had to like invest a lot.
How did you manage that? Because I guess you were or still are working a lot on and at Bexio. And how do you actually balance that? You know, your entrepreneurial life, but also your family life.
I'm not sure if I'm that good in balancing everything, but so in the beginning it was for me. So our son is 4 years old, so I think this was like a life-changing event when I became father. But before, business was my top priority, and also my wife. She knows I have this kind of guy. He will always work a lot, and he's not happy if he can't just follow his vision. So I always had big support from my wife, and I wouldn't be here without my family. And then now I'm a little bit older. I have a larger team. I think I can go on holiday and operations are working perfectly without me. So now I can also spend more time with my family, and I really like it. But to be honest, a few years ago, I wasn't really good at what people call work-life balance.
Yeah, I guess it's also a process on getting there.
Yes.
Continuous learning curve.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, let's also talk about the success of Bexio. You sold it to Mobiliar. Depending on the source that you choose, it's reportedly for being sold for 115 million Swiss francs. How much was the actual selling price?
I won't comment on rumors. I already told you.
Is there any range that you can give us where you say, was it above or below 100 million exit?
No.
Also, okay. I have to ask because that's what our listeners want to know, but of course we understand that you cannot say certain numbers, but maybe talk a bit more about the exit itself. Why did you decide to sell it and not just continue with the ongoing growth, the recurring revenue that you built, the great team? Why did you sell the company?
So for me as a founder, like the two main questions I was asking to myself were, okay, what does this mean for my customers and what does this mean for my team? And of course, then from an investors and shareholders, they had also to answer the question: Is it an offer worth taking? So I think these were like the three elements, and for me, I really felt that we could, together with Mobiliar, bring more value to our customers. We were back then also like discussing how could we as a purely digital company, have a larger footprint offline. We were talking about having kind of flagship stores. We started to do events. I don't know if you know our community day. It's quite big, almost 1,000 entrepreneurs there, and it's really cool. And we just saw, okay, we are able to have like offline tractions. And of course, everyone knows also Amazon is building on-site shops, and we wanted to try this, to try the same. We started to offer workshops and coachings on-site, and so we really felt that the combination of the strengths of Mobiliar and us can bring and create a lot of customer value, because Mobiliar is very, very strong in field sales. They have a lot of locations everywhere, and we can benefit from that. On the other side, we are very, very good. We are very good in providing customer value online and selling online, doing marketing online, and the combination of both just makes sense. So this was like the first thing. And for the second question about the team, it was really okay. We have like a cultural fit, and also in the end, the decision by Mobiliar not to integrate us, but to lead us as an independent company, and so that we can really keep our culture, keep the spirit, but also benefit from being part of a large organization, a powerful organization. So these two questions I could answer is yes, it makes sense, and the third question I wasn't answering on my own, because I wasn't the only shareholder. So all the shareholder, they accepted then in the end to do this step.
Were there also other offers that you received? Maybe not at the same time, but also before, during the journey of building Bexio?
Yes, there were this kind of events.
What led you to not accept them?
I don't know. I think it was just like in the very early days, probably they weren't so serious, and we were like just starting, and we're not in the position where we also had like professional investors on board. So during the phase of the scale up phase with professional investors on board, I can't recall if we really had serious offers, really serious offers, because we weren't really looking to sell the company.
Yeah. Also not to Mobiliar. I mean, that was more of a thing that just happened. You were not looking to sell the company.
Right. Yeah.
So to finish and wrap up this episode, we would also like to know if there are any additional resources or gadgets that you can recommend to our listeners. That can be books, blogs, podcasts, but also like tools and gadgets that you use yourself on a regular basis in your daily life. What comes to mind?
Of course, I use my iPhone quite a lot. It's a good gadget, but it also can be a burden. And I love the earpods, the ones with noise cancelling. And I think Spotify is kind of the killer app. I really like music. Then other powerful tools or gadgets. I love my bike, but in the last 6 to 12 months, I learned a lot about meditation and about mindfulness as really a powerful tool to be more focused on the right stuff, but also to stay calm in very stressful situations. And I think it's a good tool for business leaders and entrepreneurs. Yes, this is what comes to my mind.
Great. These are great recommendations and also a great way to end this episode. Thank you so much for your time and for taking us on the journey of Bexio. And we wish you all the best and lots of success with the execution of your strategy.
Thanks, Silvan.
Thank you for tuning into today's episode. Stay connected with the Swisspreneur community through our LinkedIn and Instagram profiles. Make sure to subscribe to our show on whatever podcast platform you're using. See you next week for a brand new episode of the Swisspreneur Show.